Have you ever met someone who is incredibly talented, hardworking, intelligent, yet still doubts themselves? Now, why do so many capable people struggle with confidence, communication, self belief, and clarity? And especially in today's hyper competitive world. See, and in time where everyone is chasing success, what actually helps someone go professionally without losing themselves in the process? So today's conversation is going to answer exactly that. So hello everyone and welcome to the Kapeel Gupta Career PodShow, the podcast where we explore the deeper side of careers, confidence, mindset, growth and personal transformation. I'm your host Kapil Gupta and today's episode is especially important for students, young professionals, aspiring leaders and honestly anyone trying to navigate modern career pressure while still staying true to themselves. Our guest today is someone who works deeply in the areas of confidence, communication, behavioral growth, workplace effectiveness, and leadership development. She's the founder of Vision Voyage, a corporate trainer, confidence and career coach, and someone who has impacted more than 5,000 lives through her workshops, mentoring, and transformational session. And through her work, she helps people become more self aware, communicate more effectively, build stronger confidence, and grow professionally with clarity and authenticity. And what I personally love about her approach is that she doesn't just talk about external success, she talks about the internal foundations behind success. So please join me in welcoming Riddhi Pobara. Welcome,
Hi,
Riddhi.
thank
So
you. Thank you,
glad to see
Kapil.
you on the show.
Really glad to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. It's really wonderful to you agree to have be part of my pod show. So thank you. Thank you for coming. And I'm sure the curiosity or the excitement I'm feeling later on, that will be shifted to my audience also.
Yes, absolutely.
So
And thank you so much for a lovely welcome and introduction. Really, please.
you
Thank you.
deserve it. I've
Yeah.
seen your work so much. So it's really wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
before wasting any more time, because I know you are a busy person, so let's begin with your own story first, right? So how about that?
Lovely. Sure, let's get into it.
Okay,
Um,
so
yeah,
mhm,
please go on.
okay, so see what I read about you, and you have had multiple pivots on your own journey before building Vision Voyage. So I would love to know that what experiences shaped you personally and what made you choose confidence, communication, personal leadership as your life's work.
That's a great question. And I just feel like pivots, if you go out and look online, pivots are really glamorized. But nobody really sees the kind of discomfort that one feels when they are pivoting. So there were multiple points in my life when I felt like, oh, this is not working. Let me just move to the next. Like, so for example, I went to the UK to pursue my master's in entrepreneurship. When I was at UCL, I was building something in the education space because I knew that I always was very attracted to the education space and I wanted to build something there. So when I was there, a lot of people started reaching out to me on my LinkedIn and they said, how did you get into a university like UCL? And I had gotten into a couple of such universities, like top universities there. And then naturally, I started helping them with that process. And I started doing that professionally when I was there, like I was still living in the UK. So it all started as an education consultancy. But when I moved to India after my time there, I realized that there's a bigger gap in the market. There's everyone's doing education consulting, but what after they graduate? No one's helping them out with jobs. People are really struggling to get jobs. So then I pivoted to career coaching, where I was helping people with their resumes, interview prep, anything that can get them a better job opportunity. But as a coach, my job is to reflect and to sort of, always run towards alignment. So I wasn't feeling very fulfilled in that particular role where everything was going right. People were getting jobs, and on paper, it looked amazing. My business was doing well, but I wasn't feeling accomplished at the end of the day, or I didn't feel like I created an impact. So naturally for me, the biggest thing that I've worked on for the whole life, like since I was a child, was confidence. Because growing up, I did not have a mentor. My parents were not too involved in my life or my work. So I had to figure things out myself. And every time I figured it out, I saw a very different reality. I saw opportunities just, come to me. Like I was a scared little kid. But when I grew, when I put myself into a lot of discomforting situations, I grew so much. The kind of opportunities that came to me, it was crazy. And I wanted people to experience that. So, yeah, that's when I decided to move into confidence coaching. And a lot of leaders, especially in corporate environments, really, struggle with confidence issues, communication issues. And this just felt like the perfect alignment point for me. So, this is how I have personally dealt with pivots in my life. Yeah.
So true, Riddhi, and I really resonate with this because, I am myself in the career coaching for past 15 years. And, there's a difference between literacy and education. But most of the
Yeah.
times we are running after literacy only. But what you are doing right now is actually you are educating the people, because only through education we can make maximum out of our literacy. Right.
100%.
So,
100%.
that is definitely a really well thought of career. And I could sense that you are a person who keeps on raising her own bar, right? And
That's
that's a beautiful thing about you. So lovely. And even I have personally observed is that today's generation is like more connected than ever digitally, right?
100%.
And
Yes.
but emotionally and professionally, many people still feel deeply lost. So, which brings me to this, that you work with ambitious students, professionals, leaders across different stages of their careers. Am I right when
Yes,
I say
you're right.
that?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do you think people are struggling with the most professionally right now, beyond just
Hmm.
finding a job?
Hmm. Hmm. I think that's a beautiful question because not everyone likes to talk about this. Like if you go on social media, people are just posting, I'm quitting my 9 to 5, or I'm starting this business, or maybe I'm hustling into my 9 to 5. But nobody is really asking the deeper question, am I really happy doing what I'm doing?
Hmm.
And a lot of people who come to me, they say that I'm stuck, but they don't know why they are stuck because the sad part is everything is looking rosy, everything is looking great on paper, like they are a high achiever, right? A high achiever meaning you're scoring like 100 marks. So then when your external proof looks so good, how can you really, look inside and say, oh, something is wrong? So I think that is something that, deep down, all these individuals know that there is something lacking. There's something missing. But nobody really has the patience, or nobody really has that kind of awareness to sit with themselves and really listen to their gut feeling. Because we all have that gut feeling, like when I
Hmm.
knew that career coaching is not the only thing, there's more to it. So we all have that feeling that there's more to it, but we really need to hear that feeling, sit with ourselves, and take action towards it. So if we feel like, okay, I'm not happy in this job, okay, then what are my options? What can I do other than this job? If I were to quit tomorrow, then what is it? So I'm not asking people to quit, but while they are in it, it's just about reflection. Nobody's, so the beautiful part is you can be in that situation, you can have your safety net, but you can also plan for a better life while being there. So
Right.
I just feel like there's a lack of self trust that I've observed in most of these people, that when you lack self-trust, what happens is you don't take action because
Mm.
you don't trust yourself enough to get through the situation if you were to fail. And that self
Mhm.
trust only builds when you take action. So it's like a loop, it's like a never ending loop that people get into. But that self trust only builds when you take action like 100 times, it compounds, and then you tell yourself, your mind is just like, oh wow, you did it then, I can do it again. So that is the self trust and the action part that will bridge the gap for a lot of people. But it's just about having that awareness and going through that reflection journey that they will understand the gaps that lie there.
I fully agree with that point, Riddhi. And if I want to add to this, what you have said, see, now building self-trust, now that is also a process. There was a time, like 20 years back, 30 years back, people used to say, okay, we have completed our graduation or we have completed our masters, our studies are over. But nowadays, it's not the same. You have to be upgrading yourself all the time.
100%.
And only those people who upgrade themselves, I believe they can build their self trust because they know they are still relevant in the industry, isn't it? So, you know,
100%. That's true.
so
Yes.
now, because this is what you have just mentioned, it's really interesting for everyone to understand that if you have any mid career crisis, maybe you are not upgrading yourself, right? So you are just
Absolutely.
stuck there. So, but internally, because sometimes we do feel some people are really successful, but as you said, internally they might be doubting themselves, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you have worked with many high achievers over the years. So
Hmm.
what patterns do you repeatedly notice in people who appear successful externally but internally struggle with confidence?
This is such a common thing that I notice in most people, be it a junior manager, be it a senior manager, be it a CXO. This is something that I've always observed, and that is misalignment. And when I say, like, it might sound like a very big word, but when you break it down, it just means that people are so disconnected from their own values, their own strengths, their own definition of success, that they're always looking at other people. They're always seeing, okay, what is working, what is trending, what is success for others, and then they are following that path. Instead of having their own definition of success. And usually, when people are disconnected from their values, what happens is, you feel very uncomfortable because you are in a self conflict, because you are
Hmm.
a certain kind of person, but you are put in a different environment that doesn't resonate with the person you are naturally going to feel uncomfortable. So, like, the biggest example could be, let's say, if someone's values, top three values are freedom, chaos, or someone who really loves building things. And if you put them in a corporate environment, how will they survive? They will be in a conflict, like a self conflict every single day. So at times, it's not that you are underperforming or you're not good enough. At times, it just means like probably you're not very aligned with your values. You're not in the best of environments that you need to be. Now, put the same person in a startup environment, they will thrive, because of their natural instinct to build, take ownership of things. So, yeah, I think it's a lot about, again, sitting and doing that internal work. What is my personality type? There's the 16 personalities test that people can take to understand what kind of a personality do I have in my workplace and my life. Then doing a values assessment, sitting and understanding. I mean, they can go back to their past and imagine, like, what kind of decisions did I make? Based on what? Now, again, a lot of people also feel stuck because they're like, we can't make decisions. How can you make decisions when your values are down? You make decisions, most of the times, you make decisions in your life based on your value systems. So I think they are just basically chasing someone else's version of the dream or the success. But when you really, really sit and understand yourself better, it gets easier. It gets like the decision making becomes easier, and that action part also becomes easier. And
Yeah.
honestly, the good news is that once you like start doing this reflection, some journaling in the right direction, asking the right questions to yourself, that stuck feeling starts to dissolve. Like it starts to go away. So
Hmm.
there is a solution. It's not that this is the dead end, is what I personally feel.
No, that's okay. See, obviously, we always say that every problem has a solution. If there's a problem, there has to be a solution also. But honestly, I think there is, this is something our education system really prepares for people for, We spend years and years building technical skills, though the new education policy talks about the life skills and all, but then there's a conflict with the parents. Parents are always pressurizing, get more marks, get good degrees, and be an engineer, then you will be successful. And without even knowing that even 50% of engineers are unemployed in a country, right? So being an engineer is not a guarantee of job. But then
Absolutely.
if you would have seen that parents, even with ourselves, right? When we were getting, studying in schools and colleges, parents were kind of grooming us for good jobs.
Mm, mm.
They will never say, okay, grow up,
Yes,
get
yes,
education, and become an entrepreneur, right?
absolutely.
It's a very common statement. पढ़ लो, अच्छी job मिल
Yeah,
जाएगी. Your
yeah,
future will be secure. So
yeah,
that is like unknowingly, parents are grooming us to be, employees only, right? Uh,
absolutely.
so, but so, and additionally, because of that, we have very little time for, building communication, self-awareness, and emotional confidence. And, sometimes in very rare form or raw form, I would say, uh, I tell the students, कि, ठीक है, you have a degree, you have an engineering degree. Now that engineering degree is an entry, or you can say the qualification for an interview, to appear for the
Mm.
interview. But your communication skill will get you a job.
Absolutely. And the exact communication skill will get them to the next level. So if you're
Exactly.
looking for a promotion, like if you have to be a leader needs to communicate. That's the
Yes.
primary thing people look for, when you're a leader. Can you collaborate? Can you communicate? Can you really come up, with a solution for things? So these are the soft skills that actually take you ahead in life. Your technical skills can only get you to a certain level. You're,
Yes.
you're absolutely
Yes.
right to highlight that. Yeah.
So with this thing in mind, if I ask you what role do soft skills really play in a career growth today, right? And in most situations, I would say is communication becoming even more powerful than technical ability?
Yes, I mean, a lot of people would hate me for saying this, but I 100% believe like soft skills have a very very big role to play in getting someone to the next level or getting them a career that's sustainable. Because I think majority of the people who come to me are people who are they have solid technical skills. They are subject matter specialists, right? So they can you give them a task and they'll be able to solve, but nobody is ready to promote them. Nobody is, they come to me because they can't become leaders. They want to become leaders, but they can't. They are stuck at that level. So I just would say that it is super important for people who are in school right now, high school, or even in their early ages or early years of college, first year, second year, or even third year, to really invest in soft skills, because the kind of soft skills that you get at this level, because you're starting your career with that habit, of giving
Hmm.
equal importance to soft skills and hard skills. Because as in when you grow, it becomes difficult for you to adapt to a different system. But when you walk into the whole career journey with this perspective that both are necessary for my growth, then it becomes easier for you to grow as well. So 100% like invest a lot of time into doing internships, because they're one of the best ways to learn, right? Like, go get your hands dirty. It's not just, obviously you should do some courses, but at the same time, for students especially, they should focus on getting a lot of practical exposure before they go for their masters or their further education, because this really really makes sure that whatever they are learning, even on those stages, it becomes more relevant, it becomes more
Right.
application based rather than
Hmm.
just theoretical. So 100% I completely agree with you that soft skills has a very very big role. And soft skills like problem solving, specifically like communication, as you highlighted, problem solving, decision making. I don't just train individuals, I also train corporates. So the biggest problem that founders come to me with is, just train my team to be better decision makers. train my team to, be more ownership driven, to be more collaborative. And these are the skills that no university teaches you. But it's something that as
Yes.
an individual, you have to take the lead and you have to go out there and learn these skills because they are very much appreciated, be it the corporate world, be it the startup world, whichever world they want to
Mm.
be a part of.
Right, right. And see, for being better decision makers, we must have clarity of thought. Until and unless you have that, you cannot decide properly. And talking about communication, I would say it's so important, not only professionally, though both of us are in the career space, but we know that even personal life will be better if we have good communication skills, right?
100%.
And then we all know that being a topper is not a guarantee for success, right? Many a times backbenchers are able to be better successfully in careers because they have done all that problem solving from the
Yes.
school days because they were always in a fix, or they were working on that. But yes, that's such an important point that you have mentioned. And I think one word that constantly comes up in career conversations today is
Mm,
confidence, right? And everyone wants it, right? But very few people actually understand it. And you often say that confidence is a
right.
skill, not a personality trait. So, what do
It
most
is.
people
Yeah.
completely misunderstand about confidence? Please throw some light on that.
I love the question. I absolutely feel like so many people need to understand how does confidence really work? Because while we all want it, we might not really understand the mechanics behind it. It's all science. It's all science. It's all connected. So the first of all, the phrase "fake it till you make it" does not work. It does not work in today's world, and I absolutely hate that particular phrase because it teaches people to perform. It just teaches people to perform in a specific scenario, like fake it, and you'll make it to the presentation, to the next level. But how long will you keep faking it for? Like you're gonna get exhausted at some point. You're going to give up because that's not who you are. That's not who you really are from within. So I think a better way to build confidence is to change your identity, to become someone who's automatically confident, to become a person who does not have to fake it, but is confident. So
Hmm.
I just feel like this is one thing. And second is a lot of people, you might have heard people say that I will go on that stage and speak when I get more confidence. I will do
Hmm.
that presentation when I become more confident. But that is such a wrong view to have because it works the other way around. The more you do it, the more confident you become. So confidence doesn't come after, like, you don't take action after being confident. Confidence comes after taking action. So it's
Yes.
it's
Yes.
actually a byproduct of taking action. So all those small action points, the small moments that you're taking, even the discomforting ones, they're compounded. It's compound interest. So every action you take today, no matter how difficult it is, it's gonna compound. And it gets to a level where automatically you do it 4 times, 5 times, the sixth time you're gonna be more confident. The seventh time it's just gonna be like, oh wow, I'm a natural at it. So it's a process, and I just feel like people need to stay with this process. So to build confidence or to build any confidence is like a muscle. How you go to the gym every day, so the muscle doesn't grow in like one day or 2 days. It takes consistency to build that muscle, right? So you go to the gym every day for, like, say you go consistently for 3 to 4 months and you'll start seeing the results. So same as with confidence. The more you practice, the more you put yourself out in those situations, let's say be it stage fright, if you just go and speak, just register yourself for public speaking events, and you do 5 such events, and the sixth time you will naturally be more confident. So yeah,
Right.
I think it's all about being at it, being more consistent, and taking action is what is going to help you become more confident at the end of the day.
Right. So I would say that what you have just mentioned, the
Yeah,
most important word in our life actually should be action. Because,
absolutely. Yes.
right, so if we are
Yeah.
taking action, everything will automatically fall in place, right?
Yes. Yes. And
And I
if
would
I
say
can
this,
just
yeah.
sorry,
Yeah,
if I can
please.
just add to it, I just feel like that uncomfortable feeling is not a bad thing. It's a good
Hmm.
thing because it's a sign or it's a proof that you're outgrowing your current identity and you're
Right.
stepping into a new one with a new potential. That's something that you're not probably ready for, and that's why you're doing it so that you can get there. So if you feel uncomfortable, then you should congratulate yourself, or you should be happy and deal it with
Yes.
pride that I'm probably growing, and not staying
Yes,
at the
exactly.
same
You are growing.
stage.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So well said.
Yes.
Yes. And this becomes, very visible, especially in workplaces, where we could say highly intelligent people sometimes struggle to express themselves clearly, isn't it? And you
Yes.
must have seen incredibly smart people struggle to communicate confidently in meetings or leadership situations. So if I ask you, what's usually happening psychologically in those moments?
I'll, yeah, yeah. I think such an interesting question because I've done a little bit of my research in neuroscience,
And just, I
and
want to stop
yeah,
you. I want to stop you.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sorry, but
yeah.
why I ask this, because see, for my audience also,
Yes.
they might feel that those people who are every day on the stage, they might be super confident, and
Right.
we are new, so
Yes.
they
Yes.
should understand a certain kind of
Yes. Absolutely.
anxiety even in those people. So with
Yes.
that thought in mind, I've asked you this. Yeah, please.
No, thank you so much for clarifying. That makes it a lot more clear. So, I just feel like, first, according to neuroscience, your brain listens to what your belief systems are. So, if you're constantly believing that I'm not the kind of person who could go on the stage and speak, or I'm not the kind of person who could present, your brain is just gonna give you evidence that you can't do it. So whatever it's like AI. Whatever you feed into it, it's gonna give you that output. But if you keep telling, even if you're not good enough, but if you keep telling your brain, I'm probably the kind of person who can do this well, who can speak really well. I don't know how, but I just know I'm gonna do it well. And they perform so well. And if you see the stats, usually, it's used in sports science. So athletes use this technique to improve their performance. So majority of the athletes, they visualize, even before the match has started, they'll visualize putting that goal. They'll visualize winning. Their team winning and already sort of celebrating the victory. And that what that does to their brain is it pushes them. So when they're actually in the field, it pushes them to perform better because you have already convinced your brain that I'm good and we have won. So how give me evidence that we can win? And your brain works with you, not against you. So that's just from a neuroscience perspective. But having said that, I absolutely agree with you. A lot of people believe that, oh, she's probably speaking every day, so it must be so easy for her. But for anything to look effortless, a lot of effort has gone into it, is what I would say. So, she has been in situations where she was sweating, her palms were sweating, her legs were shivering, but she still spoke. So, people who seem confident, it's not like they don't feel the fear. It's not like they don't feel nervous or anxious. They feel it, but they do it despite that. They don't let this fear decide for them. They don't let this fear take over and control them and be like, oh, I will not go to that presentation. The fear is still there, but they do it with the fear being present. So I just feel like, if you feel that fear, it's natural. Everyone feels it. I feel it. Even now, being a confidence coach, I go on stage, I feel that fear. I feel that anxiety and that nervousness. But there are ways to do it, right? There are ways to just talk to your brain again, like it's another individual. Like, I'm doing fine, I'm calm, it's just people, it's just a conversation. When you breathe, and I think a lot of it has to do with our breath. So what I've also noticed is most people, when they are trying to compete in a competition or trying to present, they hold their breath. And when I realized that, I was like, wow, our breath controls so much. When you hold your breath, you're sending signals to your mind that you're not safe. So automatically the mind panics more. It gets more anxious. So if you take deep breaths, or if you are taking normal breaths, then again you're giving a signal. So everything essentially you're doing is giving a signal to your brain. So if you're giving a signal to your brain, I'm safe, I'm very calm, I'm not anxious, you will be calm in that situation. It works like magic. Like a lot of my clients have, use this technique, and visualizing or doing box breathing, which is where you count till four, hold for four breaths, and then release for four breaths. I think these techniques have really, really helped them perform like 10 times better, in their presentations or meetings. So it's all about, I would say, calming the brain. When you do that, even like the performers or the people who seem most confident do that probably. So that's what helps in these situations.
Oh, wow, Riddhi. Now, that's a beautiful hack uh, of
Yeah.
breathing. Obviously, I've never noticed that, but yes, now I'll notice the next time I'll go on stage that what
Yes.
I do in that situation. And
Yes.
adding to this, this conversation, see, many a times we have tendencies that if I see Riddhi going in a super luxury car or staying in a super luxury apartment, and I would say,
Hmm.
oh, she's an achiever, right? So
Hmm.
she has more worth than me, right? And somewhere I think many ambitious people also begin tying their self-worth to their achievement, which can,
Right.
I believe, can become dangerous over time, right?
Hmm.
So if I ask you, because you have been working with such people, that what's the biggest mistake ambitious professionals make while trying to climb the corporate ladder?
Um, Very, very good question. And I think what you are describing is probably imposter syndrome, which a lot of ambitious professionals face. So when you see someone succeed, when you look at so many successes around you, you feel like an imposter. You feel like, I'm just faking it, and sooner or later they're going to realize that I'm not that confident, or I'm not that good enough. So you're always sort of doubting your own abilities, and you're always comparing your self-worth to someone else's self-worth, without even realizing it. And this obviously doesn't happen consciously, it happens at a very subconscious level.
Hmm.
So it takes a lot of time to understand what's happening. But I think the biggest thing that we need to understand in a situation like this is to have clarity on our vision. When we have clarity on our vision, no matter what the other person is doing or having, automatically that becomes irrelevant. Because if my vision is A and they're at a point B, why will I even compare to them? But because I've noticed that when people don't have a very strong sense of self worth, and the self worth is built again from self trust and self belief. It's all interconnected. So when you build a very solid sense of self worth, then what tends to happen is that comparison slowly tends to go away. And when that comparison goes away, a lot becomes clearer. What is my vision? What am I working towards? So probably it could so happen that you're way, way, way ahead in your journey. So the idea is not to compare it with another person, but whenever someone's feeling like this, the idea is to compare yourself with the past version of you. So what was the version of you 1 year back? How did she look like? What did she have? What kind of skills or what kind of role she had, and what kind of role do I have today? Then you will understand how far you've come, in this journey, what insecurities you have sort of gotten through, what things you have overcome, so many milestones you've achieved. So it's a lot about just visibility, making everything that you have done visible, so that the mind gets proof. Okay, wow, I do belong in this room. So it's all about giving that evidence again that I do belong here. So yeah, I think it's at the end of the day a belief system which can be born from these small, small evidences, and also small wins. You know, we always are running behind this one goal. If I achieve this, if I launch a product like this, I will sell. That's a win. That's a victory. But what about the 100 things you did to those wins? So I would definitely say that, having an Excel sheet or whatever is easier for them, keep a track of all the small victories or wins that you get on a weekly. That's when this imposter syndrome will start fading away. So that's what
Hmm. And the interesting part is, the world of careers has changed dramatically. See, earlier days, like 30 years, 50 years back, we, a family or a person who has been working throughout his life would feel that, okay, once I get that retirement money, I'll be able to buy a house for myself, right? Nowadays, it's the landscape is very much different. Nowadays, it's the landscape is very much different. Let's say we get a
Hmm.
job by or we get settled by 25, we need a car by 28, by 35 we only want to own a home, right? And by maybe there are some people who are so meticulous in financial planning that they might want to get even retired by 45, 40 or 45, right? So that is, so we can say its growth is going very fast. And
Yeah,
we can say hard work alone no longer guarantees growth, right? So I really want your perspective on this, their careers today. And because clearly it's not just hard work anymore.
absolutely. I completely agree with you. And so many of my clients have come to me and they're like, we're putting in so much work, we're putting in so much effort, but nothing is moving, nothing is happening. And that makes me realize like it's even more proof that hard work doesn't work. If you really want to grow, then you need to have a different way to look at your careers. I think today, as harsh and as sad as it sounds, it's all about visibility. You have to, you can't just be in this belief that just because my work is good, they will notice it. Nobody will. So unless and until you put yourself out there, unless and until you make it visible to others. So I think this is one thing that I would absolutely ask people to do is, as I mentioned in my previous answer as well, like keeping a track of your wins. What this essentially does is acts as evidence of your contributions, the contributions that you have made as an individual. Speaking up in that meeting, no matter how difficult or how challenging it might sound. And also, this is a very small hack, but when you are contributing, when you are speaking, when you're communicating, rather than just giving a solution, give your process to them. Think out loud. When you share your process with someone, it automatically makes them trust you more. Because even it's like, in your math exam, you're not always graded for the final answer. The final answer has only 1 point. What do you get points for? The points are for your process. How did you get to that final answer? So when you start implementing these things, your thought process, your work becomes more visible at work. And when this happens, when your leaders around you start seeing that, they naturally give you more responsibility. They give you more projects. They give you, even a promotion to see if you can handle that responsibility. So I would say it has all come down to just putting yourself out there is how good it is what I feel like would, really change the game for people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I would say social media has complicated this even further. And
Yes.
because, there's advice everywhere, everyone is telling people what success should actually look like. And many a times we are looking at success with all the material things in mind, right? So, what's one popular piece of career advice that sounds motivating online, but is
Hmm.
actually harmful in real life?
I would have to say it's a very cliche phrase, but follow your passion. I mean, I know it sounds very inspiring. Like to me, it
Yeah.
was, when I was starting out my career. But for most people, it is paralyzing. Like, what is passion? It's such a vague word, like they don't have
Exactly.
this one single burning passion that they've been waiting to discover. Like, so, so when they can't find this, oh, this person has their passion. Maybe they have their life together. They can't find this. Oh, this person has their passion. Maybe they have their life together. They naturally feel broken. They naturally feel like something is wrong with me,
Hmm.
and then they don't take action and that the loop continues. So the better question I would say is not, what's my passion? It's actually what are my values? What am I genuinely good at? Because that's what is
Yes.
going to make you money. And where does the world need what I can build? So the problem. So a lot of people focus on the solution. What can I give? But the good question to ask, be it, an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or a working professional. The value that you have to give remains the same. We all have a very
Right.
unique value to contribute. So the question is, what problem am I passionate about solving? One person came to me and beautifully said that I don't like all the toothpaste that are available in the market. I want to bring a toothpaste that tastes good. Every morning I want to have a toothpaste. So he found such a very unique solution, like a unique problem, that he wanted to solve for. So focus on a problem statement, not giving a solution to the world. So
Mm.
that is what I would say, would really, really, and I think passion will naturally follow. Once you start doing that, once you start asking these questions, passion will follow because passion naturally follows alignment. So when you're
Mm.
asking these three questions, you're running towards alignment, not like money or external things that will not sustain. So passion definitely can't be the starting point, but it is a byproduct. It is the reward to actually sitting and doing and getting that clarity. Professionals, who think they want to sort of lead with passion, but that can't be the starting point, sadly.
Right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Riddhi, for saying that, because yes, it's um, a greatly misunderstood word, passion,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
as a result, many young professionals are heartbroken because of that and face burnout in their lives. So I fully get, and it's thank you for actually mentioning that about passion. Ki we should not focus only on passion and more on like the Ariki guy, right? So
Ikigai.
maybe
Yes.
that,
Absolutely.
yeah, that would help. And today, I want to end with something deeply personal for our listeners, because I know there are many people listening right now who feel confused, stuck, underconfident, and constantly comparing themselves to others. So, if
Hmm.
someone listening right now feels professionally lost or emotionally exhausted, that's the burnout
Hmm.
cases, because uh, many a
Hmm.
times we
Hmm.
leave our personal lives and get so engrossed in our professional life. So, what is the first thing you think they should stop doing?
100% comparing yourself. Like, because that puts you in that box, and when you are in that box, you are really just putting this additional pressure on yourself to compete. But to compete with what?
Mm,
Someone's A might be your C. So how there is no parameter to compare, So I just feel like stop trying to become someone else's version of success. Like really, like you don't need more credentials to do something. A lot of people tried coming and telling me to be a coach, you need more experience, you need this. I would just say believe in yourself. If you have that gut feeling that no, I can do it, without having going through a very traditional path of having like 7 to 8 years of corporate work experience and then starting my journey, I think what's important right now is how can you fast track that journey? How can you really sit there, listen to your instincts, listen to your gut? So take advice from everyone, but just listen to yourself. So really, I would say that also makes you a bit more independent emotionally and in your thought process, because when you're constantly listening to people, you are listening to their version of what success might look like. So at the end of the day, it's you who has to, figure it out. So more than anything, I think the very first skill that you need to build is resilience. So when you build resilience, no matter how many times you fail, the idea of failure will just become so normal to you. Like failing will just become like, oh, this is just another failure. Let's get up and let's build it again. So I think that's the attitude that everyone needs to have, that no matter what happens, I'm going to get up again and start again with the same energy. So not attaching yourself to your work, not attaching your worth to your work is very important, because and I think that also gives you a very positive perspective to live with, because let's say tomorrow you get feedback. So I think the idea is not to take that feedback, and feedback is not given to you as an individual. Feedback is given to your work. So if your self-worth is attached to your work, then any kind of feedback will seem defensive. But if you have that clarity and that detachment from your work, you are so secured, in who you are and self-belief, then that feedback will be an opportunity for you to grow and become better. So I would just say that building a solid sense of self is super important and not attaching, because really career can't work in isolation. It's all interconnected.
Mm.
Our lives, our
Right.
relationships, our careers. So we have to look at it like that. And at the end of the day, you are a human being and you have to look at yourself more than just your careers or everywhere. Not just, having that work personality or work worth. That's what
Mm.
I mean.
Uh, that's really interesting. And now, uh, Riddhi, I want to really ask you because you have worked with so many people. Now, out of those many, I want you to pick one. I'm sure it will be difficult for you, but I want to understand about the state of mind when that person approached you for help, for guidance. Was an
Hmm.
achievement for him that the person came out of that struggle. Can you just, because I'm sure
Hmm.
our listeners, our viewers would definitely be interested the kind of work you are doing. So just one story
Right.
maybe.
Yeah, 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 of course. So, I think I have a lot of such stories. It's difficult to pick one person, but yeah. So I just feel like this one particular person came to me and they wanted to switch careers because they were feeling very disconnected, at work. They were not able to give their 100%. And like as a kid, they used to be like a topper, give their 100%. And like as a kid, they used to be like a topper, like the topper of the class, the high performer. And even in the early stages of their career, they were sort of a high performer. So they were not able to understand what's happening, right? In this particular situation, why am I not able to perform? Why am I not able to, I am this capable person? And that naturally they started doubting themselves a lot because in that environment, they were not able to perform. And all their life, they have performed so well. So what we did was we sort of sat, and the very first thing was like, forget about job switch, forget about this, the next steps, just sit and let's get some clarity on who you are. Let's understand yourself better because there seems to be a lot of disconnect even with the self. So when we understand her value systems, when we understand her ikigai, like when we sort of did the whole framework, and a lot of insight we got from that one session. And with those insights, when we actually made decisions based on those insights, turns out she was just made for a very different environment, and that
Wow.
environment was really, really suppressing her personality, suppressing who she was, who she stood for. So she was in a fight or flight mode. When you are in a survival mode, how can you focus on work? How can you perform better? Because you're constantly just surviving the environment. There's no focus on work happening. So naturally, obviously, she came with the right solution, but the solution was arrived with a in a very reasoned way, in a very
Mm.
structured way. We came to the solution that okay, let's switch industries, let's switch jobs. And I think within, I would say, 4 to 5 months, she came to me and she was like, things are working. I
Wow.
feel like I'm actually growing here. I feel like I'm able to contribute freely here. So a lot of times it's not a confidence problem or a communication problem. I also realized with her that with this experience, a lot of times it's freedom of expression. When you don't feel like you can express yourself without being judged, issue, but it's an expression issue, and every individual needs to feel like free, needs to feel like they can express themselves. So I think that is something that I understood. And I think these are the kind of experiences that keep me going, even when I have my
Right.
breaking moments and I want to give up. So yeah, I think that's the
Right.
story.
So I would say that, when the person came to you, she was looking for answers outside, but you made her look within,
Yes,
right? And understand
yes,
herself, and
yes,
then
yes.
you took it forward. And that's how she got the solution. So wonderfully amazing, I would say. And Riddhi, this has been such a thoughtful and meaningful conversation. And I genuinely believe today's discussion went far beyond careers, because what we really spoke about today was identity, self worth, confidence, clarity, and what it truly means to grow without losing yourself in the process. And I think one of the biggest lessons from today's episode is this: the success is not only about becoming more qualified, it's about becoming more self-aware. And that what you did with that person in the story. So more emotionally strong, more aligned, more authentic. And to everyone listening today, please remember, you do not need to become someone else to succeed. You simply need to understand yourself better, trust yourself more, and grow consistently into the person you are capable of becoming. So, Riddhi, thank you once again for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, your insights with us today. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the Kapil Gupta Career Pod Show. And to our listeners, if this episode added value to your life, make sure you share it with someone who truly needs to hear this conversation. And subscribe to the Kapil Gupta Career Pod Show for more deep conversations around careers, mindset, growth, confidence, and personal transformation. And if you want to connect with Riddhi, the link will be given in the description below. So look for the link and connect if you really need her guidance, and I'm sure it will be worth it. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep becoming the best version of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.